Welcome back to another video. There is a trucker code that's it's almost like an unspoken code, but if it's unspoken, well, how are you supposed to learn about it? Well, in this video, I'm going to talk about some of that code, and if you've never heard about this, definitely stick around. Now, I know that about half of you watching this are considerably younger than me, and half of you are about my age or older. So for the half of you that are younger than me, when I was growing up, when I was younger, and we were on the interstate and we happened to see a truck broken down, there was never just one truck on the side of the road. There was the truck that was broken down, and then in front of it, there was 2 or 3 more trucks that were parked because they stopped to help the other guy. And that was, that was the brotherhood, as they called it before. It was kind of like a fraternity. And while I don't necessarily advocate stopping on the side of the road these days, there's nothing wrong with, trucker etiquette or the trucker code that I'm about to go into. So implement these things if you're a young truck driver, even if you're an old truck driver, you've been out here a long while, maybe this will serve as a nice reminder. And if you know more about the code, please leave some comments down below and let me know which ones I missed or that you think are important. By the way, loving this hoodie. It's Trucking with Tay's hoodie. Bought it myself, he didn't ask for this, but I'm gonna tell you, it's high quality and I really like it. Nice job, Tay. So one of the first things I want to talk about in this is kind of fresh from last night. This happened to me. I was in the back, and I don't have curtains, for my windows. I don't have them. Could I buy some? Sure, but why waste the money? If you're walking through the truck stop at night, or even if you're driving through the truck stop at night more specifically, don't be staring through the cab into the other truck drivers to see what they're doing. Don't be nosy. This is our home here. This is my home. And you wouldn't walk up to somebody's window and just stare at them into their house, back home, would you? So don't do it out here on the road. That's very, very bad etiquette. And by the way, these are in absolutely no particular order, but the next one is, I'm all cleaned up now. I just took a shower. Guys and gals, shower at worst every other day. It's not that hard. We have 30-minute breaks that we're required to take every day. You can wake up a little bit earlier, you can wake up, or you can stay up a little bit later to go ahead and knock this out. And if you're just in that position where you physically cannot get that shower at that every other day mark, 2 days in between, max. Nobody wants to smell you when they're in line at Subway waiting to get their food. I have actually walked out of line and got back to my truck because I was so disgusted by how poorly the person in front of me smelled. You gotta understand, you're representing the trucking community as a whole. And there's not just truck drivers that stop at truck stops. We've got, regular civilians or non-truck drivers. So just shower. Don't make me be your mama. And speaking of being your mama, don't litter. I mean, I can't believe I have to actually put this, I have to actually count this as one. It's ridiculous. And, I'm not just talking about throwing stuff out the truck window as you're going down the road. I'm talking about at the actual truck stops. The reason that we can't park at Walmarts anymore, which a lot of them have actual truck parking, is because of littering, because of pee bottles that are left all over. It's disgusting, especially when there are almost always trash cans around that you could walk 30 steps to. And guess what? If that one's full, walk another 30 steps to the other one. Don't freaking litter. And I know this is gross, but just bear with me. But if you have pee bottles, don't pour them out on the concrete. Owner-operators like myself, we work in the truck stop parking lots, so don't pour those out. Oh God, especially in summer, it's just the heat. You get the idea, it's disgusting. And moving into the next one, when you're driving along at night and a truck driver passes you, especially if they're pulling doubles or pulling triples, do not flash your brights to signal them to get over. Don't do it. If that's your only option, don't even bother with it. Don't mess with it because you're blinding the other truck driver. What you want to do is turn your lights off and then quickly back on. That's it. Don't use your brights to flash someone over. And speaking of lights, let's go ahead and tackle this issue. Fog lights or light bars on your truck. Man, they're freaking bright. Now, I get it. You know, there's an old saying, old truck drivers, you know, low lights for gay rights. You know, I get it. But what you're doing is you're actually blinding the other truck drivers. So if that is something that you're going to utilize, make sure that you angle those properly. That way you're not blinding other people on the road. And this one absolutely drives me nuts, because there are trucking companies out there, specifically the larger ones, that tell you to drive in the middle lane. But golly, don't be a middle lane truck driver, especially if you're governed at like 62 miles an hour. That's ridiculous. You're causing an enormous amount of traffic. Do not drive in the middle lane. Especially don't drive in the middle lane when you're in wide open territory and it's, you know, the speed limit is 75 miles an hour. Best you could do is 62. Doesn't matter how many exits there are. Doesn't matter how many people are getting onto the freeway. That's just something you have to deal with. Do not be a middle lane truck driver. You are causing traffic, you're causing backups, and you're causing accidents. Don't do it. And something that you also want to do is try and warn other drivers of bear traps. And what I mean by that is if there are, you know, law enforcement, any kind of law enforcement posted up on the side of the road, you know, trying to scope it out, especially if they're hidden, when you get up the road, do your best to either turn on that CB, which you absolutely should be carrying, and tell the other drivers where they're at. Try and make a mental note or look to see what milepost you're at. You can say there's a bear at the 222, or westbound, there's a bear at the 222. You know, give it direction and then let them know. You want to warn the other drivers out here. We're trying to be professionals. Some of us, I don't advocate it, but some of us are in a bit of a bigger hurry than what we should be. And you don't want your brethren to get tickets. So try and give them a warning. If you don't have a CB, this is the time when you can flash your brights. I advocate you not to do that, but it would be better to at least warn people rather than not doing anything at all. And the best case scenario would be to turn your lights off and then back on a couple of times to warn that other side of traffic. They're gonna know what that means. That's an old school way of saying, hey, law enforcement's ahead. So warn other people of bear traps. Now we're starting to get into a little bit more of the ones that kind of hit home for me. This one in particular, and if you've been around the channel for a while, you've already heard this story, but if there is a vehicle on the side of the road, doesn't matter if there are no brights on, there's no lights on, there's no flashes on, no nothing, get over into the other lane. Get over. My uncle, he was an old school flatbedder, and he had his tarp was coming loose. So he pulled off to the side of the road. He was fixing his tarp. Well, it was determined that as he was pulling on that tarp, it slipped out of his hands. He fell into the lane of traffic. There were two trucks coming along. The first one dove out of the way, but the second one didn't see him in time and killed him. So you don't want to put yourself in that situation. You know, you certainly don't want to have that on your conscience for the rest of your life. And you don't want to put your CDL at risk. So it's so easy to just move over. If you have to slow down, slow down. You cannot be in that big of a hurry that you don't have time to slow down a few miles an hour to get over to protect the people on the side of the road. So please, get over. And speaking of getting over, well, kind of. Don't drive down the road holding hands. What I mean by that is if you have a 65.5 mile an hour truck and you're trying to pass a 65 mile an hour truck, just don't. One of you should back out of it, you know, out of courtesy. If you look in your mirrors, you're going to see a huge line of cars in the right areas. Now, you're out here in Wyoming, which is where I'm at right now. By all means, knock yourself out. You know, if it takes you 20 minutes to get around them, it takes you 20 minutes. Everybody behind you is going to be mad. But don't do it in highly populated areas or places where there's a lot of traffic. You're backing up traffic massively. And on an interstate like I-40 in Arkansas, you could build up miles of traffic. So don't hold hands with other trucks going down the road, please. And in turn, if you are the truck that they are trying to pass, it is really not that difficult to slow down just 2 miles an hour, let them go, and then you can speed back up. You're not losing that much time. Don't be an a-hole. Now let's move on to some fuel island etiquette. I'm sure you've probably heard this by now. I've talked about it multiple times on the channel. Out of respect for the people behind you, you want to try to use the 15 and 15 rule. But keep this in mind. You have 15 minutes to fuel your truck, then you pull forward, and now you have another 15 minutes because that's how much time you took in the fuel island. That's absolute max, by the way. But think about this. Has it ever taken you 15 minutes to put fuel in your truck? No, it hasn't. And it's not going to take the guy behind you that long either. So don't waste other people's time by thinking you must take your 30-minute break there at the fuel island. You know, 15 and 15 is okay, but that's really pushing it. Never takes me 15 minutes to fuel up my truck. So, you know, when you get in a hurry, think about those other trucks that are behind you that are also in a hurry. And here's another one about wasting time. If you need to take a shower, I should have covered this one earlier. If you need to take a shower and you can see that there's 10 people waiting on a shower, don't take an hour-long shower. That's just rude. You know, there are other people that are trying to get a shower and keep going down the road. You know, some people drive at night. Some people drive start in the middle of the day and end at the middle of the night. Just be conscious about it. I take my showers at TA Petros, and hardly ever is there a wait. Sure, sometimes there are. And when there is a big wait like that, I try to get in and get out. When there's not a big wait, I mean, I enjoy the hot water. It feels good, you know, try to relax, you know, some of that steam, get that steam off my chest. But when there are multiple people waiting, try and be mindful of other people's time. So we're going to revert back to, you know, kind of the original story that started this. You know, having the last one and the final one is just have respect for other truck drivers. They are exactly like you. Well, maybe not exactly, but they're just like you. They're very similar. You know, we're out here, we're dealing with the same things. We're dealing with four-wheelers cutting us off all day. We're dealing with four-wheelers getting in front of us and slowing down. We're used to other trucks getting in front of us and slowing us down. So understand that other truck drivers are dealing with the same problems that you have dealt with all day. And I'm not saying that other truck drivers should get a pass when they're kind of acting in a way that they shouldn't be acting. But just try and put yourself or think about the things, all the trials and tribulations that you went through that day, and understand that person might have gone through twice as many. They might have gotten into an accident. They might have gotten a speeding ticket earlier. You never know what someone else is dealing with. So try and just have respect for other truck drivers. You know, something that I didn't cover that I do want to cover right now is when you're on a 2-lane road, wave to the other truck. It's a courtesy wave. It's called the trucker wave. Get your hand on the steering wheel. Doesn't take much. You just lift up your 2 fingers. That's it. That's the trucker wave. That's just a respect thing. This respect, this brotherhood, this fraternity. It's just been lost over the years. And it's such a sad thing to see and to experience on a daily basis. There's no reason to be a grumpy truck driver every single day. You know, you can enjoy what you're doing out here. And the thing that's going to make it more enjoyable is being courteous to other truck drivers. You know, if we're courteous to other truck drivers, we have etiquette for other truck drivers, we're gonna band together. We're gonna be as one. You know, I was talking to Sammy earlier and he was telling me a story about how, you know, truck drivers used to get together and you know, they used to stand up for one another. They used to have parties back on Party Row. They used to barbecue. You know, they used to run in convoys. There was it's not my story to tell. I'll let him tell it on one of his videos. But, you know, we used to stand together. And it's sad that we don't do that anymore. But this is a great place to start. And I hope that you take this seriously. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Ring that notification bell so you don't miss a single video. Check out one of these right over here. I appreciate each and every one of you. But as always, stay driven.